Hey everybody, Marcus here. It is the middle of July, which means we've owned our 2024 Foundation Series all-wheel drive Cybertruck for about 6 months now. We recently just took it in for service here, so I figured it'd be a good time to do a review video after 6 months of ownership. Keep on watching. Now, if you've seen previous videos on the channel here, you know that we just got back from our coast to coast to coast road trip in the Cybertruck, about 5,700 miles going from California to Delaware and then back to California. Now, I had made an appointment before the trip for the cyber tent to be installed, and so they put that in, but I had some other issues that I needed to get resolved, so I put in another appointment for after the trip. I'm glad I did because there were some little issues that I found during the trip that were nice to have them take care of basically 2 days after we got back. So let's go over that list here. Now, first on the list was the Cantrail replacement. Now, this is actually a recall item. We didn't have any issues with our Cantrails. Basically, if you live in a humid environment or somewhere where there's salt spread, I guess the glue that they used previously was coming, unattached, and you were having these fly off when you're doing highway speeds. So they just preemptively, this was actually listed in the app under outstanding work, I think. And so I just clicked that and added that onto the appointment. So they took these off and replaced these. I don't really see a difference between this metal and this metal. These, look like they match pretty well here. So I was happy with that. Now, the one issue was driving back from the service center, I didn't have the light bar on here because I figured they might need to get to, stuff around here. I didn't have that light bar when we went into the appointment. But when I got about a quarter mile away from the service center driving away, is that I heard a loud, noise and basically looked in my rear view and saw that there was something tumbling down the road behind me. Now, I pulled over, tried to find it in the road, didn't know what it was, and I ended up finding that the trim piece over there, I believe it's called the roof applique, had flown off. So I'm assuming when they remove these Cantrails, they take this, little plastic trim that's up top here, and they take that off too so that they can put these on. Must have been that they just didn't snap it back down on there because it basically ripped off as soon as I got up to speeds. Now, luckily, with that happening, I had nobody behind me, so, nothing flew into somebody else's car. I'm very thankful for that. But other than that, Cantrails were done, they look great, and when I went back to the service center and showed them that there was a piece missing, they literally just took the truck right back, put a new piece on, and I was back out in about 5 minutes. So inside we had a couple things that we had them fix. Now, the first one was the driver's seat. During the trip, I started to get a creak that sounded kind of like an old antique wooden chair whenever we had any acceleration or pressure put down on the seat. Put a video of it here. And so that got pretty annoying pretty fast. When I was leaning the seat back, you could feel like it kind of hesitated when it went back and then went back. So I'm not sure what happened. The service appointment, they said that there were loose bolts or something in it. And basically, I thought they would just take the seat apart, tighten some bolts, and that would be the end of it. They actually replaced the entire seat to fix this. What the service tech said was that when they take apart these seats, they're just never going to get it back together as well. And so it's easier to just replace the entire seat. Now, what's nice is in my 4-month review, I had commented that the side bolster here had started to get wrinkles. We were only about 4,000 miles in at that point. I was a little bit disappointed that with the wear on the seat, that it was getting wrinkles. I personally think there should be a grab bar up here because when you're getting in, you're kind of compressing the side bolster if the suspension is raised up and you're sliding over it. So it just gets a lot of kind of compression and wear on it. So nice to have the entire seat replaced, no more wrinkles in the side bolster. Going to try to apply as little pressure as I can to that getting in and out so that we don't get those wrinkles as quickly too. Now, the next thing they did in the appointment was the wireless phone charger. if you are a Tesla owner in general, you know that their wireless phone chargers are just phone heaters for the most part. This one particularly would do about 3 or 4% on the phone, and then you would get a warning that the phone had overheated and it was, holding charging until the temperature returned to normal. Now, I had read on X that there was a new revision for the wireless phone chargers, so I added that on there. I think basically they added a heat sink or something to the back of the charger to help dissipate some of the heat. So we got that replaced. And I will say, it still does get the overheating phone message after a while, but it definitely has increased the performance of the wireless charging, so I was happy to have that fixed. Now, the next thing they did in here was they took care of a rattle we had in the headliner. It went in for its first appointment a couple months ago because whenever I was driving over rough roads or anything, there was a rattle somewhere here in the map light area. And, anytime you're going highway speeds and basically on rough roads, you would hear it. They took it in the first time and greased the map light, I guess, with dielectric grease. Said they found some clips that weren't attached and attached those. And basically driving home from the service appointment that first time, it was already rattling again. So when I had the Cybertruck installed, I originally had put this on that same appointment, but they didn't end up getting to it. So at this third appointment here, they took this thing apart and they told me, or the service tech told me, that they were going to completely swap the part. What they ended up doing, it looks like from the service receipt, was that they added some insulation to it. It is definitely reduced for sure, but I'm still kind of hearing a little bit of a rattle, unfortunately. I mean, it's just, once you hear it, you kind of can't unhear it. We do have like the car seat in the back that has a bit of a rattle, but it's definitely different from that. So I think that's probably going to be one that I'm going to have to put in for a third time. And I hope they just replace the piece, because honestly, that rattle was driving me nuts after about 5,000 miles of listening to it. Next up, we had a couple issues with both the tonneau applique, or applique, however you say that here, in addition to some water ingress into the bed. Now, when we had the Cybertruck installed, they put a retrofit on to make these easy release clips. They might even do that on the newer trucks these days. It used to be some torque screws that were a little bit difficult to get to. And so they put these clips on that you just kind of pop on one side and then pop the other side down. Now, after using the tent for a couple days driving back east, I noticed that the clip on this side was binding. It basically needed a pliers to, rotate it to open it up, and it was kind of stuck there. Now, we did notice that the weather stripping essentially wasn't really equal over, here compared to there, but that didn't seem like it was affecting it. We also had a little bit of a bubble in the tonneau applique, or man, so many appliques, but wasn't sure what the issue was. Now, we had some ingress also in the bed with water, so whenever we were washing it, or if it was raining, it wasn't a ton of water, but it was enough water that I didn't really want it there. Now, I'll show a picture beforehand of what this used to look like, and what they actually did was add a couple extra slats, I believe 2 slats to the tonneau here, and now you see there's a much smaller gap here. I don't remember this piece being here too. I feel like this is new. I really don't remember that being there, but these slats are new because if you see in that picture, basically there used to be an open area with some drainage holes in it. But ever since they've installed this, I sprayed it down with the pressure washer when washing it, and the tonneau is basically waterproof at this point, so very happy with that. Now, as I had said previously, this was the tonneau applique that was kind of bubbling up. The service tech agreed with me that that was not normal. And it was actually, I figured this was bolted down or something, but he said it was just adhesive that was under here that was likely coming undone. So they replaced this, I guess put new adhesive or whatever down on it, and that is good to go. Now talking about the Cantrails, this is actually the piece that flew off. This is the cover that, goes over the roof line here. Here we got your roof rack mounting points up there. I have the light bar installed into those. But basically just a plastic piece that was stuck here. And they didn't clip it down, I guess, when they did the Cantrail replacement, so that's what flew off. Thankfully, when it flew off, it didn't hit any glass. I was really worried about the glass, to be totally honest. From what I can see, it didn't damage anything there. To me, it kind of sounded like it may have hit somewhere on the tonneau here, but I can't see any marks, so thankfully it didn't really seem to cause any damage. Now on the return trip home in Wells, Nevada, we ended up having a charging issue where the charge port locked in the supercharger handle and wouldn't let go. It just had a blue status signal light, would not let me release the cable at all, and basically anything in the cabin to do it wasn't working either. So if you're not aware and you ever need this while you're on a road trip or driving around and your charge handle is stuck, for the Cybertruck, the manual release is behind this panel. And so what you're gonna do is just take this panel and pry it off there. It does require quite a bit of force to pull it off. And there is a gray manual release handle that you can pull. And once you pull that, it manually unlocks the charge port and lets you take out the handle that's stuck in there. So when I pulled this off during the trip, basically it took so much force that I cracked the piece around here. I'm not sure if the clips just weren't in there correctly or something, but once I pulled it off, I could not get it to sit back down correctly into the spot here. And so they also replaced that. Thankfully, didn't have to pay for that. I was kind of surprised by that one. I was expecting to have to pay for the cover because I broke it. But I guess because there was an issue with the supercharging, they replaced that for free. Now, what was interesting was they read the data, I guess, from that charging session and said that the error was caused by an overvoltage in the truck battery. I don't understand that, and if somebody knows better than I, let me know in the comments, because the other guy that was charging next to me also had the same issue as me, where his charging session stopped, and I'm not sure how my truck would have caused that to somebody else, but I think it was more of a supercharger issue, but yeah, they said it was an overvoltage in the battery. Not sure about that one, but that's all fixed up now. That's nice, seated properly, and they said they had to put new clips in there too. I don't know if it's like a single use when you pop them out. That may have been why it was so hard to remove. The last thing they took care of for me was the side view mirror here. Now, when I was doing 80 or 85 throughout Nevada, basically I was noticing that the driver's side mirror here was vibrating, and it was vibrating enough it was difficult to see behind you. With the Cybertruck not really having a functional rear view mirror in the cab, and the camera being good, but it's not that great. It's kind of vital to have these side view mirrors. So the passenger side seemed to be fine. I mean, it was moving a little bit, but a normal amount for when you're going 80 or 85 and you have winds kind of blowing you around. But this one definitely was loose, like something wasn't correct. So they took a look at this and said that there were loose bolts in it. They tightened up those bolts, and that has been fine ever since. So that was the service appointment. Total cost for everything was free. Everything during the appointment was covered under warranty. I was a little bit surprised that the cover that I broke during the supercharger issue was covered under warranty, but hey, I'll take it. Now, maintenance-wise for the truck, we're about 11,500 miles into it after 6 months. Has only been windshield washer fluid, which I think I've put 2 or 3 jugs into it. With the new update where it goes back and forth in releases, it goes through windshield wiper fluid quite often. So yeah, we've probably been through 2 or 3 gallons of it. The other thing that I did was rotate the tires. I did that when I was back home in Delaware. Now, I had that on the appointment originally for after the trip, but I had some free time with my dad and we wanted to rotate the tires. Now we picked probably the hottest possible day. It was like over 100 and crazy humid in Delaware. So we were dripping sweat off of our noses. And when I put it in for the service appointment, Tesla estimated $65. Basically, I think their shop rate's around 200 or 220 per hour, and they're estimating 15 minutes to rotate the tires. I assume because they can just put it on a lift and take all 4 off and swap them around pretty quickly. Now, it does feel good to work on your truck on your own. Basically, I kind of regretted doing the tire rotation on our own because I put way more than $65 in sweat equity into the tire rotation. That's one that in the future, I'll probably just have Tesla do it. Now, they will not do a mobile service appointment for tire rotations for Cybertrucks. I was told that you have to come into the service center. I guess they don't want to do it on the jacks they have with mobile techs, and they want to just put it on a lift there. I'm not sure on that one, but we'll just time that out. So for the next time when we need that done, we'll get, any other things that we need taken care of during that. Now, I did do that tire rotation at about 8,000 miles or so, and I've put about 3,500 to 4,000 miles on it since. So we will be due for a tire rotation, another 3,000 or so miles. So that one will come up quicker than all the other ones. But other than that, that's the only maintenance that I've done. Windshield wiper fluid, tire rotations. The little kind of issues that I've had with the truck have all been taken care of by service, thankfully, and at no cost to me. And as you might know, with Foundation Series Cybertrucks, the promotion was, when I got it at the end of December last year, that it is free supercharging for life. So the whole entire coast to coast to coast road trip, the supercharging was free. And for the 6 months that we've owned this, over 11,500 or so miles, we've added about 6,700 kilowatt hours of electricity in that 6-month period. Now we have solar on our house here. It's a 12.24 kilowatt array, and we have 3 power walls over there. So they produce about 17,000 kilowatt hours per year. So if we were driving the Cybertruck 20,000 miles a year all the time, like the current rate that we're on, we're looking at using about 3/4 of our entire solar production just to power the truck. So for us, that, free supercharging at 6,700 kilowatt hours, our local rate here at our supercharger is about 50 cents per kilowatt hour during peak times, which is normally when I'm going. So that benefit itself has probably saved us around $3,000 in 6 months. Now that was one of my calculations when we bought the Foundation Series versus just getting one with a tax credit, was that you got the free supercharging with it. And I figured that basically this thing would become our primary vehicle when we're going places and doing stuff. So it's going to pay itself off. Yes, we paid an upcharge for the Foundation Series, but owning this for a couple of years, if we've already saved $3,000 or so in 6 months, I'd anticipate maybe 3-4 years from now, that supercharging benefit will essentially pay for the Foundation Series upcharge itself. You may have seen previous videos too, where we've taken the Cyber tent out. We had this installed the end of June, I believe, and we've taken it out on a camping trip with the family once. And then I also used it on my road trip. Going back east, I used this camping 3 different times. Setup time for this thing, I've gotten it down to around 10 minutes or so. It's confusing at first, honestly. Like once you unpack the thing, you're gonna be like, what in the world? But after you get the hang of it, it's really only a couple steps, removing this cover here, attaching some straps, and then airing the thing up. Once you do that, takedown is essentially about 10 minutes too. You just release all the valves with the air in it, fold it up, and then ratchet it down, and then pull this cover over. I really love the Cyber tent. We're actually planning on going out to Tahoe National Forest this weekend to do some camping. We're gonna bring the truck and use the tent here. And then my wife will also bring our Model Y, which we have the air mattress for. So she'll sleep in some climate controlled, comfort. And me and our toddler will sleep in the tent here. The one complaint I have with it, and I mean, it is what it is. It's summertime, it's 100 degrees out. Going up into the National Forest, it'll be a bit cooler, getting down to like 45 or 50 at night. But when I was camping in Nebraska, basically, it's like an oven inside of this thing. I wish that there was some sort of retrofit for the cabin so that you could get air through that window there to blow into the tent. I do know that there are some kind of accessory companies that make like a vent that goes into your back window and then plugs into your air vents in the front, and then that can funnel cold air into the tent that way. I've also looked, there's some like 3000 BTU air conditioners, little mobile air conditioners, and using the bed outlets here, you can just plug it in and then run it up and probably stick that in the end of the tent. Now that's not gonna get you, 60 degrees or whatever, but if it's 100 degrees out, that little air conditioner can get you 20 degrees cooler. I think that'd be really nice. So that's definitely something that we're looking into here. Camping wise though, this thing is just so useful, especially with the tent here, having that right into the bed that's easy to, take out and then put back, and having the bed outlets has been super useful. Even with the Model Y, we've been going to campsites that are non-electric. Around here, electric campsites, and maybe it is like this everywhere, but electric campsites are hard to come by. They're booked up for like a year ahead. So what we can actually get are non-electric campsites. And what I've found is that the non-electric campsites around like a national forest, the easiest way to do it is basically I find the closest supercharger. We go there and then do a full 100% charge and then drive to the campsite. For this upcoming trip that we have to the Tahoe National Forest, we'll go and charge in Truckee, and it's about 30 miles from the supercharger in Truckee to the campsite in the National Forest. So that's about 90% battery with this, which would be roughly, a little bit over 100 kilowatt hours usable in the truck. And then the Model Y would have about 70 kilowatt hours or so. Now, using the climate control in the Model Y is going to use significantly more electricity than like the truck, which isn't going to have the AC or anything on. So the nice part with having the bed outlets here is we can just take the mobile connector and plug it into the Model Y if we ever do get short on electricity. We also use those bed outlets for cooking and anything else, charging your phone, whatever you need to do. So they're super useful for that. The nice thing with having a supercharger close in that case is basically we don't need to leave the campsite with much. We just have to have enough to get to that supercharger at the end of the trip. So we found that for 2 days of camping, the truck really might have dropped like 30-40 miles, and that's with using a electric griddle, charging all our devices, and then even adding some to the Model Y. Model Y uses a little bit more with the cabin air conditioning or heating, but generally we're leaving with plenty of electricity and nothing to worry about. So really love the Cybertruck for a off-roading or camping vehicle. I'd like to start doing some more off-roading with it. As you may see or have seen, I added the hand show light bar to the truck. So when we're out in the country, if it's late at night, we can turn that on, or if we're setting the campsite up, we can turn that on and basically illuminate everything in front of us. So excited to take that out and see how it goes. So now I think one of the surprising things to me is the efficiency of the Cybertruck. Looking at other EV pickup trucks, I was expecting to get, maybe 1 to 2 miles per kilowatt hour. And what I've found over 11,500 miles with it is our lifetime average is about 430 watt hours per mile, a little over 2 miles per kilowatt hour. It's really a much bigger vehicle, and we own a Model Y, and I used to drive a Model 3, so I'm used to getting under 300 watt hours per mile driving. So this is definitely a big step up in terms of consumption of kilowatt hours. But for how big this vehicle is, how much it stores and all that, it's really surprisingly efficient. Now, when we took it back home, I did a little bit of towing with it, and we put a 4,000-pound travel trailer on the back, and I was blown away. It was getting 800 to 900 watt hours per mile, which totally expected with that. But what my brother and dad found, who are used to their gas pickup trucks, is this thing, even with that 4,000-pound trailer on the back, the acceleration was effortless. It's, you definitely felt that there was a trailer back there, but like if you punched it or needed to punch it to merge onto a highway, you had acceleration for days. So just love how efficient this thing is. And, as always, every electric vehicle has a ton of torque and just accelerates off the line like crazy. Now, one thing that I'm not looking forward to in the truck, and hopefully it's a ways away, is replacing the tires. From what I've seen, I'm looking at about $2,000 or so to get new tires put on this. I'm not sure if I'll go back with the Goodyear spec that's currently on it, or throw some like KO3s, which would be much less efficient, or some sort of Michelin tire on there. We'll just kind of approach that one when we need to. But that's definitely the one downside of maintenance for this thing, other than the wiper fluid and all that, is that tires that are this humongous are going to be expensive. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions or anything, let me know down in the comments below. Please subscribe and like, and see you on the next one. Have a good one.